Hi guys, I'm Julie with GlowPro, and today I'm going to answer the #1 question that is asked in emails and DMs, which is, how do you tan your hands? So there are a couple of different methods that you can use to do this, and it's all going to be about what works for your needs and your application style. And I am going to go over them all, starting with what I do personally and what I think is easiest, which is you take a mitt and your regular tanning mousse. I'm using the 14%, and I'm going to pump it out onto my mitt, and I'm going to start with just doing my arm. So if I was doing a regular full body application, because no one's ever just tanning their hands, I don't think. So I'm going to do my arm the same way that I regularly would. And then once all that mousse is gone off my mitt, I'm going to go do my hand. And I'm going to start with the center of the back of my palm and rub in circular motions. Now you'll be able to feel that the mitt is still damp from the mousse, and that's going to be all the product that you need to give you a natural color on your hands and not turn them really dark. So I've done the entire back of my palm. I'm going to feather lightly with a little bit of pressure down onto the side of it. Same thing on the other side. And then I'm going to go up my fingers just individually. And that's normally enough for me to feel like I have an even, natural looking tan hand. But if you want to get extra fancy with it and be meticulous, you can go on each side of your finger. Again, there's barely any product left on the mitt at this point, so it's just going to give you a really natural fade and help create that blend down so that there are no hard lines. And that's the main thing that you want to avoid, is too much color pooling on your knuckles, because there's more skin here. They'll naturally get darker, and you want to make sure that you don't have any hard lines in any, you don't tan your palms if that's not implied. So you're fading from the back of your hand down as you get to the palm of your hand. So that is method #1, mousse and a mitt. Now, method 2 is still going to be with a mousse and a mitt, but I am going to put lotion on my hand beforehand, and this is just regular basic body lotion, which is going to act as a barrier and is going to keep your hand from absorbing as much of the tanner, so it's not going to get as dark. So I'm going to pump a little bit out, just a small amount, and I'm going to put it on the back of my hand, again, starting with the back of the palm, rubbing out in circular motions and going up my fingers. And this, you also want to make sure this sort of base of your palm here is where a lot of people tend to get extra color. So you go down there well, and then just blend it some down too into your wrist. I would do this if I was doing the lotion method. I would do it, I put the lotion on before I tanned my arms, and I would sort of fade it down my wrist a little bit, and then you're gonna go in with your mousse and your mitt again, and you're gonna pump like a pea-size amount out. So I'm only using this much, and I'm going to start with dabbing it onto the center back of my hand and working it out that way. So I'm getting my thumb, I'm doing the inside there lightly, and then I'm getting up my fingers. So whenever I do my fingers, I kind of work the mitt so that it's going over both sides of them. So that way you don't have to go in individually and get the sides of them afterwards. And don't forget to get in here a little bit. But so that little bit of mousse is going to take you as far as you need to go for your hands. Whenever you're tanning, you don't want your hands to be the exact same color as your arm, because that's not natural. You want it to fade from the tan here all the way out to your fingertips, where there's almost like back to natural color kind of there. So that's what we're going for here. So that is option #2, which is lotion and the mousse. Okay, so options #3 and 4 are going to involve the kabuki brush, and the first one, which a lot of people do, is going to be to go back to your mousse and you're going to pump out, see if I can do this here, a small amount, again, onto the brush, and start again in the center of your hand and work your way out. So circular motions here. You want to concentrate as much of the product on the back of your hand as you can. And again, I'm paying special attention to this area here, sort of between your thumb and your wrist, because that's one place that I think people miss a lot in blending. And with the brush, it's going to get the sides of your fingers for you. If I do it this way, you might be able to see how it sort of goes around my fingers, getting my thumb too. And then you're just going to go down your wrist, front and back, to blend that out. So everything with your hands is mainly going to be about blending, and you want to create some natural fade from the bottom of your wrist out to your fingers and from the center of your hand radiating out in each direction. So our fourth and final method, which I think this is probably the easiest to use, if you're continually having problems getting your hands or your feet to look natural with the mousse, then I would suggest trying the facial serum. So that mousse that I was using, I tan with 14%. This is only 8% DHA, so it's going to be lighter naturally. This also has a stronger color guide or instant bronzer, so you're going to be able to see where it's going more, and the texture of it is just going to be a lot easier for you to blend out. So if you've tried all the other methods that I've given you with the mousse and you just can't get it to work, try this. A bottle of this lasts forever, so there's no problem using it on your hands and feet too. So I'm going to take my brush, and you can pump the serum out onto the back of your hand if you want. You can pump it out onto the back of the brush, or you can put it onto a paper towel and go from there. I'm telling you, a little bit goes a long way with this. Like, whatever you think you need, you don't need that much. This is like a dab. So I'm barely pressing. I'm going to start with that much. And get this swatch off, because I need my wrist. Okay, so I have this little bit on my brush, and I am going to dot it around just to spread it. Like, you can see how much that little dot already gave me. And I'm gonna work in my circular motions. See how well you can see where this is going? Like, the mousse, you have to sort of feel where it's going. Like, whenever you use the mousse, the sort of dampness of the mitt is what's guiding you. With this facial serum, you can see where it's going. So I'm going up each of my fingers. Can't forget my thumb. And I'm just covering all sides of it. There's barely any product left. Getting in that little area too. There's barely any product left on my brush at this point, so I'm really just blending out. Like, you can see a little bit of a line there. So I'm going to buff that out with circular motions, doing the inside of my wrist too. And just go over it. There's no over blending here. The more you blend, the better you're going to be. You're not adding any product to this. So it's just buffing out what you have at this point to make sure that everything looks natural and seamless. So I can pretty much feel at this point that my kabuki brush is dry, and I'm still going in a little bit into sort of like between my fingers to get that, because again, this is if you want like a flawless, like you have a hand modeling photo shoot tomorrow and someone's going to be looking at these things. That's what I would do then. If I was just day-to-day tanning for the week, I'm going with the mousse and the mitt and just kind of feeling it out with a dry mitt at the end of my tanning session. So out of those 4 options that I went over, hopefully you can find one that works for you. If you are still having issues or have any additional questions, send us a DM or an email and I'll try to help you out. Thanks for watching and thanks for choosing GlowPro.